Good morning, everybody. We're excited for today. Somehow we managed to find a neuroscientist who works with the Department of Defense, also the FBI, spends time meeting with professional athletes, celebrities, doctors, pilots, what have you, about this topic we're going to talk about today, which is sleep, managing stress, how to recover like a pro. Jim Poole is the founder of New Calm. Tim, Chris, and I had a chance of hearing him in New York this past summer at the Raymond James Chairman's Council retreat, and we were blown away by him and his insights. And so we wanted to bring him here to you. It's a very important topic, obviously. So thank you for being here. Also, I'll say this, we're going to have Q&A at the bottom of your screen. You can ask questions. We're probably going to save those to the end so Jim can kind of go through his presentation, but we'll make sure to address those as best as we can when he's done. And then we all plan on sending out a replay of this video at some point in the near future if you missed it or want to share it with a loved one. Chris or Tim, anything you want to add?
Sure, I'd say that, so in New York, I took about 4.5 to 5 pages of notes in our session, so be prepared to get something out, write those down. Jim has a wonderful style about him, but also just more importantly, it's such an important part of our body we don't know about. So how does the brain work? What does sleep do? He's got so many different pieces to add about the different waves of your brain waves as well. So you're going to find it very interesting, but maybe grab a pencil and some paper, write some things down now, because it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful program.
Cool. Hi, everybody. Let's get out of the way and let Jim do his thing.
Awesome. All right, Jim, thank you.
All right, thank you. Well, welcome everybody. Happy holidays. I believe most of you are in the Midwest, Wisconsin, and my apologies. I'm 56 years old. I spent 55 years in the winters of Northeast, and with my last child graduating high school, all 3 girls chose to go to Florida to college, so we emigrated to Florida, and it was 80 degrees on Thanksgiving. I'll tell you, my brain hasn't really mapped it yet. It doesn't seem real, but today I'm calling you from the hills of Malibu in some 80s movie star celebrity's home. So I found a little nook here to present, and hopefully this works out lighting wise. I'm 56, so I had great vision until I turned about 47, and the optometrists and ophthalmologists don't tell you this little secret. Once you start using readers, your brain is inherently lazy and doesn't want to work. So once you kind of give it a facilitator, the elasticity in your eyes diminishes at a rapid rate. I can't see anything anymore. So I don't even need to see right now, and I still have to wear glasses. So we're going to start today by just saying thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for paying attention to some things that we've never really taught, but they're really important. We can feel when we're stressed. We can feel when we don't sleep well. But it's hard to create solutions and fix problems when we don't even know what they are. So that's part of what we're going to deliver today. I've been running this company for 15 years, and I would tell you now, I'm living my best life. I'm living my best life because we've developed a technology that can literally help all humanity. But a lot of our work is done with stage 4 cancer, complex trauma, veterans, addiction, neurodegenerative diseases, Alzheimer's, and to give that person who's really struggling and scared and confused and overwhelmed the opportunity to manage their stress with great predictability and give them restorative sleep, that's a gift, and that's the gift I get to bring to the world. So let's start back in time. Let's go way back to knuckle-dragging cave people, this human species of ours. Since the dawn of humankind, humans have either discovered or created ways to change their state of mind. Think about that for a second, because we don't think about that. But today, if you're feeling mentally lethargic and you want your brain to fire faster, you'll have Nespresso, Red Bull, Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, Monster Energy, 5-Hour Energy, you name it, accelerator. It's not magic, it's simply increasing the frequency of your brainwave. For many of us, if we have a tough day and we just feel like everything's against us, we might have a glass of wine. As soon as you have that sip of wine, the weight of the world seems to roll off your shoulders and all those problems seem to dissipate. Again, that's not magic either. It simply slows down the frequency of your brainwave. If we're feeling anxious, we may take anti-anxiety pills. If we're feeling depressed, we might take an antidepressant. If we're having trouble sleeping, we'll take a sleeping pill. So think about our life as a human and all the external stimulation we're using to modulate and regulate our brainwave. And we're not even aware of this. It's just commonplace. So why? How does all this work? Well, I'm going to talk about two specific aspects. Number one is the physiology of our brain. What's the circuitry of our brain? Why do we do what we do? What are the elements that we should pay attention to? And then secondarily, as Chris mentioned, we're going to talk about brainwave frequencies and oxygen, because they're all related. So let's start with the brain. There's two aspects of the brain that I want to pay attention to. Number one is the central nervous system. We're all kind of familiar with the spinal cord and the brain. Well, the central nervous system has one defined priority above all, and that is self-preservation and survival. If we're not alive, Maslow's hierarchy of needs and food and water and connection to people doesn't mean anything. So it makes sense that that's its number one priority. At its disposal, the central nervous system has your five senses and your intuition. Okay, so those are the opportunities for this to kind of evaluate everything we're doing. The central nervous system never stops working on our behalf. Every nanosecond of every second, it's evaluating your surroundings for familiarity and security. That's why when you're home, you're comfortable. Your stress level's lower. Your heart rate's slower. Your breath is better. Why? Because your central nervous system doesn't have to figure out, am I in a safe environment? I'm in Malibu, California. I don't live here. So even though I've been here for a few days, I might have some comfort in some areas that I see, like, okay, I've seen that room before, but I'm still a little bit more on edge than I would be at home. So your central nervous system is protecting us all the time. Interestingly enough, if you sleep with ambient noise, white noise, music, and the music shuts off, you wake up. How is that? Because your central nervous system never sleeps. It's always protecting you. If you sleep with no noise and there's a loud noise, you wake up. So those are just examples of how kind of our brain is always operating for self-preservation and survival. The amygdala and the autonomic nervous system has governance over a lot of our behavior and a lot of our physiology. This aspect of our brain is in our midbrain, and the amygdala is an almond-shaped piece. And this almond has tremendous authority. What does that mean? The autonomic nervous system, if you remember 10th grade biology, governs the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is your stress response. The parasympathetic nervous system is your rest and digest. So just last Thursday, probably around 3:30, if you ate at 2:30, you felt full parasympathetic nervous system dominance as you engorged in turkey and stuffing and gravy and cranberry sauce. And about an hour after that, you were probably lying on your back on the floor with your top button unbuttoned, and you were just in a state of bliss. You had no cares because there was no blood flow really in your brain and your stress response. Your rest and digest was fully active. So the autonomic nervous system manages that aspect. The autonomic nervous system also manages fear, stress, anxiety, depression, worry, irritability, agitation. Wow, that's a lot, man. It is a lot. So you could make the argument, and it wouldn't be untrue, that humanity is managed by an almond. And this is truth. There's truth to this. Well, why is that? How come it has so much authority over us? When we look at evolutionary neuropsychobiology and we look at how the circuitry of these aspects of our brain evolved, they suspect about 40 million years of circuitry goes into our fight, flight, survive mechanism, the amygdala and the autonomic nervous system. We call it the reptile brain. It's not a conscious aspect of our brain. The reptile brain has 40 million years of circuitry. Now that's hard for us to fathom. So let's do a little exercise. In March of 2019, you had a life that was normal. In March 19th, 2020. March 20, 2020, things changed. It's called COVID. Now remember, I was in New York City and the governor came out and says, okay, this will be done in 6 days. Done? 6 days? What are you talking about? Well, nobody knew. So everything that we knew was normal became abnormal. And you'll notice, if you think about this, in that time of crisis, there's a lot of worry, there's a lot of uncertainty, your central nervous system is in high superdrive trying to figure out what is my familiar pattern? How do I do this? What do I do? And look today, 4 years later, 4.5 years on, how much you've changed, how much you have kind of adapted to this. That's how quickly your brain can learn in a new neuronal circuitry, okay? You'd make the argument that we're all still exhausted. Our central nervous systems are fatigued. We haven't had enough recovery. We're still trying to figure out the new normal. That's a different conversation. But the point is, how much have you learned in 4 years? How much have you adapted in 4 years? Extrapolate that to 40 million. So if you think for 1 second, the amygdala, the almond, fear, stress, anxiety, depression, worry, doesn't have tremendous impact on us, you're mistaken. And it's not our choice. We don't choose to have that aspect of our life have so much authority over us. It's how the circuitry of the brain has evolved. So that's a challenge for us. And we need to be aware that sometimes fear, stress, anxiety, worry, it's not really in our control. It's not in our domain. We're not kind of choosing to think that. The second aspect of our brain that's even more important and better for us is your forehead, the prefrontal and frontal cortex. Now, this area of our brain should fascinate you because this is our character, our personality, our patience, our presence, our decision-making, our logic, our executive functioning, our emotions. This is what separates me from you and you from everybody else. This is who we are. The forehead, unfortunately, the evolution of that circuitry part of our brain is 4 million years old. So the amygdala and fight, flight, fear, stress, irritability, anger is 40 million years evolved. But our personality, our character, our patience, our presence, our decision-making, our executive functioning, our logic is 4 million. So every day, ladies and gentlemen, we're battling a 36 million year head start that fear and stress and anxiety have over our patience and our presence. This is a really important piece of what we all should have been told in grade school. We should know kind of the challenges afforded us as a human. We should know the landscape of the chessboard we have to manage. So here's the key. The currency of the human brain is not time. It's not money. It's not attention. The currency of the world today is attention. The currency of the human brain is oxygen-rich red blood. And so when the amygdala is activated, it takes the resources in the form of oxygen-rich red blood from your prefrontal cortex, negating your ability to be responsive to stress and feeding in this loop of worry, feeding worry, feeding worry. Think about the last time you struggled with something, conflict, it challenged your sleep, and you're just really emotionally charged about it. You amped. And even if you tried to focus on something, it would sneak in. That's the 40 million year survival part of our brain saying, you're not safe yet. This isn't resolved yet. We got to do this. So the amygdala doesn't feed on food or wine or TV. The amygdala feeds on worried thoughts, and it feeds those worried thoughts to you because, unfortunately, I'll be the bearer of bad news. The amygdala is a workaholic. It loves to work. It loves to be activated. It loves to be inflamed. It loves to just go, 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 go. Where your central nervous system and your prefrontal cortex doesn't like to work. That part of our brain likes to find shortcuts and patterns. So that's our challenge. And what does this mean for us? It means that maybe we should give ourselves a break. Maybe we should take a breath. Maybe we should be less judgmental of ourselves, less self-critical. Maybe we should be less judgmental of others. Because when we understand what we control, and furthermore, what we don't control, maybe we'll give some latitude to that. Because once somebody is in a fear pattern, once somebody's in a stress pattern, once somebody's in an anxious pattern, they can't talk themselves out of it because there is no oxygen-rich red blood in their forehead, which is the place that we can make those rational decisions. So there you go. That's the physiology of your brain. I'm 56 and I just learned about this 20 years ago. Is it a conspiracy? I don't know. But shouldn't we know how our brain works? Shouldn't that be one of the first things we learn? Hey, you're going to go through this life and it's going to be an amazing life and you're going to live here and you're going to travel there, but to kind of achieve balance and get the most out of your life, this is how your brain works. So there you go. That's the physiology of our brain. There's a lot of nuances. We can dive down a lot of rabbit holes. We can share anecdotes, but I'm going to move on to frequency now. So physics and math and frequency and waveform and resonance and biomodulation, a lot of fancy words, but it's really simple. Math is math. And this is some of the, I think, best aspects of the brain. You, me, your spouse, your parents, your sons, your daughters, we all oscillate in the same brainwave frequency range. We're all in this together. Humans don't oscillate in different frequencies. There's a 41 hertz frequency range, and a frequency is just a waveform, okay? Back in the day, when you turned the dial of a radio, when you turned to the left, it was quiet, softer music, classical. When you turned to the right, it was heavy metal or hard rock. It's a frequency. 0.5 hertz is the slowest frequency. 41 hertz is the fastest frequency. And in that range, there are 5 categories of brainwaves. Delta, theta, and alpha are slow waveforms, and they are in sleep. So 3 of the 5 categories of brainwave function are in sleep. That should kind of give us some indication of the importance of sleep. Beta and gamma are action and focused. So let's dive in here a little. 0.5 hertz, you have to have some frequency or you would be brain dead. So there has to be some activity. So 0.5 hertz to 4 hertz is dreamless like deep sleep. Dreamless like deep sleep. I suspect many of you have children. I suspect many of your children have fallen asleep on the couch at some point. And I suspect you tried to get them up and then you picked them up and carried them to bed. When you did this, if they were in delta deep sleep, they felt like they were 2,000 pounds. But they're not. They're like 46 pounds. Why? Because that's the full force of gravity, and they are in dreamless like deep sleep. The body is like in a comatose state. It's amazing. So that is delta. Theta is a faster frequency, 4 hertz to 7 hertz. And theta is synonymous with the healing zone. That sounds important. Let's kind of look into that one. The healing zone is a lucid dream state just above deep sleep. Okay, so in the morning when you're in REM, you're kind of oscillating into that theta realm. In this state, why it's called the healing zone, it is the only time in your biorhythm that your cells clean their toxins and do their cellular maintenance. And it's the only time your mitochondria is restored. So if you remember 10th grade biology, remember mitochondria, remember that's the energy source of your cells, and all your cells need energy to perform and do their function. So tonight, you cook dinner, and you have an amazing dinner, and afterwards you're just too fatigued and you're distracted, you don't clean your kitchen. Tomorrow you wake up, start your day, kitchen's dirty, but you still don't clean it, you cook again. The next day, you don't clean it. This is 3 days. The next day, you don't clean it. Now, you've gone a month. Now your kitchen's almost uninhabitable. You've not cleaned up your kitchen in a month. When we don't sleep, when we don't get restorative sleep, this compounds. It's a negative consequence. It's cumulative. When we don't get restorative sleep, our cells don't clean their toxins. When they don't clean their toxins, the cell gets filthy. When the cell gets filthy, the cell loses its function and can't work. So think about not cleaning your kitchen is not getting sleep. And it accumulates, and there's nothing good about this. Now you can't see it, but I'm telling you that is what's happening when we don't get restorative sleep. Alpha is 8 hertz to 4 hertz, synonymous with creativity, being in the zone, and also falling into sleep. Then we get into beta. Beta, 13 to 15 hertz, is, hey, I'm awake, I'm alive, I'm functioning, I'm adult, I'm in my life, but I don't really want to be here, I'm tired, and I can't wait to go to sleep. Mentally lethargic and just kind of faking it till you make it. 15 to 20 hertz is focus. So for you high performers, for you folks who rely on your brain for efficiency, output, work, collaboration, you want to know this. There is a frequency associated with learning, analyzing new information, encoding information, and consolidated to memory. The specific frequency is 18.4 hertz. The range is 15 to 20 hertz. This is another one of those I gotchas. All of us who've gone through education, all of us who tried to learn stuff, all of us who tried to read stuff, think back to how many hours wasted when you were reading something or, bad posture and you read it, and then you went to the bathroom, you came back and you didn't know where you were because you don't even remember what you just read. Okay? Hours of wasted time. Why is that? Because when you were doing that, your frequency was either faster in a stress response or it was slower in a mentally lethargic response. Your brain has to be at a certain frequency to learn. And there's a Pomodoro technique where you can actually work at this naturally, but even then you can only stay in that state for 15 to 20 minutes, okay? 20 to 25 hertz is stress, fear, irritability, distraction, anger, anxiety, worry, anticipatory anxiety. How's that even a thing? That seems completely insane. Humans literally have to deal with anticipatory anxiety. I'm anticipating becoming anxious and worrying about something that hasn't even happened yet. Yeah, that's part of being human. 20 to 25 is a fair amount of all those things. Faster frequency, shallower breath, distraction, a lot of activity going through your brain. 25 to 30 hertz is a bigger amount of stress and fear, anxiety, irritability, worry, agitation, feeling overwhelmed. When we're in that state, we're not ourselves. When we're in that state, we're useless to ourselves. When we're in that state, we're highly inefficient. We're confused, we're distracted, we're agitated, we're impatient. We're all the things we don't want to be. 30 to 38 hertz is pure fight or flight, survival. You're in state of shock. Your body is surviving. Your mind has kind of become persona non grata. And then above all of that, because the human brain has incredible nuances, is this range 39 to 41 hertz called gamma. And in this state, this is fascinating, in this state, they showcase it's commensurate with meditating monks. Monks can bring their brainwave activity to this state, but it's also elicits a gross motor cortex activation of what's called your sensory motor rhythm and prepares you to perform. There's a clarity, there's an efficiency, and there's no room for distraction at 40 hertz. Now today, in the last 10 years, led by Rudy Tanzi at Harvard Medical School, we're learning that high frequency brainwave function can actually help reduce amyloid plaque and put the body in a position to slow down the depreciation of neurodegenerative diseases. So there's a lot of value in that state. It's just really hard to get there. And when you get there, it's really hard to stay there. So there you go. You just had a lesson in physics and math and brainwave function. Why? Because it's related. The amygdala, the prefrontal cortex, your forehead, and your stress response fighting for energy. When your amygdala is active, your frequency is high. That's the correlation. Now, remember, the currency of the human brain is oxygen-rich red blood. Okay, when your frequency is high, what's happening? When you're distracted and stressed, what's happening? Shallow breath. So you're not getting breath to the brain, and it's not getting to the forehead because the amygdala is saying, no, it's my time to work. I'm worried right now, Jim. I need to survive and take care of us. Something's amiss. Something's going on here. I don't know what it is, but I got this because I'm a workaholic. That's the amygdala taking our resources. So the relation is the amygdala is your worry center. It feeds off itself. It doesn't need any help. It literally, once you solve a problem and stop worrying about something, it gives you another thing to worry about, okay? These 1,000 thoughts an hour are coming, and maybe 900 of these thoughts are the same thoughts you had the hour before, and maybe 900 of them the hour before that, but maybe 870 of those thoughts are from the amygdala, just worrying about stuff. One of the ironies, or one of the challenges we have as humans as well, is what's the first thing you think that wakes up in the morning when our eyes open to daylight? It's the almond, that workaholic. The light hits the eyes and the almond says, hey, that's a new day to worry. Who didn't you call last night? Who'd you offend? What didn't you get done? You're not getting up to work out. You didn't get enough sleep. Your kids are crazy. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Your amygdala is the first thing that wakes up. So there are things we can do to override this but it takes time, energy, and practice. Whether you get up in the morning and you meditate, whether you get up in the morning and you prime, whether you get up in the morning and you go for a walk and get out of there and then talk to yourself and position yourself to kind of build strength against the amygdala's ability to do its own job. So let's go back here and kind of showcase all the things we just learned. Amygdala is a reptile brain, 40 million years of evolution. Its goal is to work all the time, and it's really an expert at fear, anxiety, depression, worry, all that good stuff. Okay. Prefrontal cortex, oxygen-rich red blood to the prefrontal cortex allows us to be patient and present, good decision-making. It allows us to be responsive to stress, not reactive. It allows us to be patient and present in the moment with our life. Many of us are spectators in our life, right? Depression is looking in the rearview mirror. What if, I wish. Anxiety is thinking through the looking glass of the future. This is going to happen. This isn't going to happen. Self-fulfilling prophecy. So however that works, present in the moment is right here, now. There are no distractions in my head. There are no thoughts going through my head. I'm not getting pings of anxiety. Oh, you forgot about this. You did that. How that relates to frequency relates exactly to the heart rate and the breath. So when I'm in a high frequency state, my breath is shallow and I'm really just getting pinched off. I'm kind of getting stuck. So if we say, hey, that person's kind of, a little crazy and a little anxious and it's all in her head or it's all in his head, guess what? That's a true statement. It is all in their head. So it's a cyclical loop. And the challenge for us is how do we get out of this cyclical loop today that is high stress, high fear, poor sleep, high stress, poor sleep, high stress, poor sleep. When we don't get a good night's sleep, I don't need a Whoop or a Garmin or a Oura Ring to tell me to get good sleep. I know my body. It's called intuition. When we don't get good sleep, maybe we can fake it till we make it in the morning and make good decisions and not be easily agitated and triggered. But we wear out because our cells didn't clean their toxins. The mitochondria is not restored. Our cells aren't doing their job. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the challenge in front of all of us. And the challenge to each of us is how do we manage the human stress response? Because part of today's talk is about sleep. But let me tell you, there's a direct correlation and an incompatibility between stress and sleep. 87% of the adult population today, across 8.4 billion people, state they're having difficulty sleeping most of the time to all of the time. 87%. So we're all in this together. We're all struggling with this. If you have obstructive sleep apnea, if there's a physiological obstruction of your airway, that's not stress-induced, but stress management will help that. Other than that, your stress is impacting your sleep. It's a direct correlation. So it's not easy to see because we can't see stress, but that's the physiology. When you go to sleep tonight and say your brain just is lit up and it won't calm down, that's you not managing the stress response. When the sun goes down, our body, we're diurnal. Our body's supposed to secrete melatonin and serotonin and GABA, and we prepare with neurotransmitters to kind of lay the foundation to be able to relax so we can fall into sleep. The challenge is our food supply hasn't really been food for more than 40 years here. It's filled with neurotoxins, excitatory neurotransmitters, preservatives, and all these glutamates to create addictive eating behavior, but it's poisoning our neurochemistry, and we're all deficient in GABA, and GABA is the body's primary inhibitory neurotransmitter. It is designed to interrupt what's called the HPA axis. This is the neurotransmitter that tells your brain to quiet down to allow you to go to sleep. So I think one of the fundamentals for today, and I hope you walk away with this, and that is there's an inherent fabric and a connective tissue to all of us. There's 8.4 billion people on this earth. We think we're alone. We think we're isolated. We think our problems are our own. Couldn't be further from the truth. We all have a brain. We all have an amygdala. We all have a prefrontal cortex. We all have oxygen. We all have a frequency range of 41 hertz. When your brain's at 1 hertz, it's not up for debate. We know what you're doing. It's dreamless like deep sleep. When it's at 6 hertz, you're healing. When it's at 8 hertz, you're relaxed. When it's at 13 hertz, you're okay. When it's at 16 hertz, you're focused. When it's at 22 hertz, you're stressed. When it's at 27 hertz, you're highly stressed. This isn't up for debate. It doesn't have a hypothesis, a theory, or an ego. This is literally just math. And the foundation here is, how do I oxygenate? Because if I can oxygenate, I can slow the frequency down in my brain. So here's the challenge. When you're in a crazy bad mood, when the world's against you, Murphy's Law times 2, 6 bad things have happened, everybody hates you today. If someone says, hey, you just need to take a breath, if they're an arm's length, you're probably punching them in the face. I mean, you're done, man. What are you saying to me? They're just trying to help, but your brain is so scattered, you are so stressed that you're like, I'm gonna kill you. Okay, so how do we do that? How would we help someone say, hey, just take a breath, 4 in your nose, hold for 2, 4 out your mouth. Do that 3 times. It will have an immediate impact. It will literally slow down their brainwave function, but we're challenged to doing that. So meditation is as obtuse and nebulous as stress is. Why? Because it's intangible. We've learned a lot about it. We've heard a lot about it, but there's no like black and white checklist. When I first started meditating, it was like 1977. My parents were psychotherapists. We met the Maharishi. Well, I was like 9 years old, identical twin wrestler, so meditation's not gonna work for me. When I evolved in life and became a martial artist, and part of martial arts is the yin and the yang and the meditation, I was a terrible meditator. It actually created a shame cycle for me. I still intimidated by meditation. I close my eyes and get in a meditative posture and my brain goes crazy. It's like a liberation of my amygdala to go nuts. That's not gonna work for me. It doesn't work for a lot of people, but it's very effective. It's practice, it's persistence, and it's derived. The whole benefit of meditation is not the journey itself, it's not clearing your thought pattern. The whole benefit of meditation is oxygenation of the forehead. Feed the forehead oxygen. Same holds true for yoga, same holds true for Tai Chi, same holds true for hobbies and things that you do that give you peace of mind and solace. Say you're a musician, you sit down at the piano. Say you're a musician, you play your guitar. When you kind of have that peace of mind and the connective tissue of your stomach and you're not agitated and your heart feels good, these are things that can also help slow us down. Meditation has been around for 3,500 years, okay? It's still a real challenge for most people. So what we have done, how we're helping the world, is essentially, and I don't want to simplify complex neuroscience, but we're bringing to the world a gift in the form of technology, which seems a paradox. We're bringing technology, plug in so you can unplug. But in reality, this all started with a quantum physicist, neuroscientist who had a clinical practice in Texas serving the veteran community. So people coming out of the theater of war, people coming out of abuse relationships, with complex trauma. The complex trauma brain is in such a state of hypervigilance and fear all the time, it often finds solace and respite in drugs and alcohol. Not because they're weak, not because they're a coward. Your brain is really smart. Your brain knows that if I have a glass of wine, I will immediately get out of psychic pain. And it'll manipulate my behavior pattern to get me to that bar, okay? So it's all related. And it's all related because the brain knows, hey, a glass of beer right now would taste delicious, so make it happen. So this was derived in that kind of vein. And the genesis of this was, typically today, the traumatized brain and the person who's dealing with addictive disease, they'll go see a doctor and that doctor will give them a narcotic-based pharmaceutical. Well, logic demands differently. So you guys have already learned today the physiology of the human brain. If you remember, the autonomic nervous system is what governs fear, stress, anxiety, depression, and worry. So why would giving me a central nervous system suppressant be helping me? It's not helping me. It's dulling my brain, and it's simply putting a Band-Aid on the symptom. You're not addressing the root cause. The autonomic nervous system is where this resides. So Dr. Holloway, this incredibly gifted intellectual genius amongst geniuses, spent 19 years of his life, beginning in 1990, to invent a method that was safe and predictable and could downregulate, slow down your brainwave function and hold you in theta. Remember, 4 hertz to 7 hertz is the healing zone. So how do you do that? How can you trick and manage the human brain without drugs and alcohol and sleeping pills and stuff. There are two ways to present the brain with a pattern. There's visual stimulation, made famous by Sigmund Freud in the pocket watch. This is called a frequency following response. You're following a frequency to elicit a response. But about 34% of the human population can avoid this, probably because their amygdala is overcharged. So this isn't going to work for me, sir. The other way to do it is through the auditory motor cortex. Present your brain with a pattern using your ears. That is what we do. Newcomb was derived to use your ears as a carrier to present your brain with a signal. Your brain synchronizes with that signal, and within 8 minutes, we can take everybody's brain oscillating at any frequency. 15 hertz, you're focused. 20 hertz, you're stressed. 25 hertz, you're having a terrible day. 30 hertz, you're out of your mind agitated. I mean, you're so distracted. Within 8 minutes, we take everybody to 4 hertz, and we hold you there, okay? We hold you in that sweet spot of restorative sleep. 2011, I took a call from Dr. Chung Kang Pang. He's the world's leading statistical biophysicist. I didn't know that was an occupation you could pursue. I'm still not sure what he does. He's a brilliant academician, an incredible mathematician. He called me up and said, Jim, did you know that 20 minutes of your product is equivalent to 2 hours of restorative sleep? And I said, no, I did not know this, CK, and I'm really not sure what you're even talking about. So he said, well, the sleep architecture in REM and restorative sleep is here. After puberty, we seem to glide through it too quickly. None of us are getting enough restorative sleep. What your technology is doing is you're taking my brain to that state and you're holding me there. I'm literally getting the benefits of 2 hours of restorative sleep, because as you know or may not know, your sleep comes in cycles. Starts at about a 100-minute cycle, then 90-minute cycle, and you're going through the 4 stages of sleep. So we just hold you there. Newcomb was built for humanity. It was built at a time when we seem to be out of control. A lot of times when I lecture, I say, listen, the human race appears to be in a race to erase the human race. And if we stop and we reflect and look at all the variables against us, you know, the environmental toxins and geopolitical concerns and the food supply and the water supply and garbage, where do we start? Well, we start with you, and we start by down-regulating your stress response. The great equalizer is our ability to literally come to your life and say, hey, you don't need to become a monk. You don't need to meditate for 30 years. You don't need to become a yoga master. You don't need to do any of that stuff. You simply put headphones on and an eye mask, lay down. In 8 minutes, you're in theta. You're in there for 20, 30 minutes. You restore, you get up, you go about your day. We've washed all the stress, all the anxiety, all the fear out. We've been working with incredible people, incredible groups of people for 15 years. Stage 4 cancer is some of the best work we do. I love that work. 2 weeks ago, I did a lecture to 26 people with stage 4 cancer with Dr. Janet Ranicky. She's a leading psychoneuroimmunologist and just an angelic force of nature, just an incredible soul who's dedicated her life to helping people heal from cancer. She founded the Comprehensive Cancer Wellness Program, and our first program together, I was there in day one, was October 30th of 2014. So we just did another program. We've done a program every month for 11 years. And Jan introduced me and said, hey, we have a special guest today. This woman, and she named her, said is back here. She was at our first program, Jim, October 30th, 2014. Her medical oncologist back then gave her 1 month to live 11 years ago. That's amazing. Newcomb isn't curing cancer. Your body can cure cancer. Everybody on this call right now, you all have cancer cells in your body, but your body has killer cells. Your body has a matrix to eliminate the cancer cells. So what we do, our contribution to survival for the cancer treatment is simple. We stop your stress. We're not managing your stress. Newcomb goes right into your amygdala, shuts down the stress response, and solves stress at the midbrain. We solve your stress, and then at night, we have a product called Deep Sleep. We put you to sleep. That combination, within a few days, will bring your autonomic nervous system and all the chaos associated with the cancer diagnosis and the treatment and the confusion and the fear and the anxiety, all those things just wash away. We give your body stress management, restorative sleep. Your body knows how to heal. So these are the things we're doing. It's easy, but it didn't used to be. November 5th, 2009, we launched a $6,000, highly complicated FDA Class 3 medical device. Until 2021, we were a $6,000 FDA complicated medical device, serving the Department of Defense. We've been working with the Navy SEALs, the Special Forces, the Air Force Special Operations Command. We've been working with Border Patrol and BORTAC and BORSTAR. We've been working with the FBI and the Hostage Rescue Team and SWAT. We've worked with 78 professional sports teams, thousands of doctors, celebrities, FedEx Pilots Union. Each of these folks think they're unique. They're not. They all have stress and they all need to sleep. So if you look at our website on the bottom, you'll see daily habits and there's 12 profiles, pilots and professional athletes. But if you look at it, you'll see the recipe's the same. Guess what? You're a pilot, you're human, you have stress, you need sleep. Guess what? You have cancer, you're human, you have stress, you need to sleep. There's a few nuances here or there, but in reality, this is a really simple recipe. Rescue during the day, that's our product that's on the app, is built to put you in that meditative state and deep sleep at night. 10 years ago, see, I didn't invent New Calm. And one of the cool things about not inventing New Calm is I have no ego attachment to it. But I'm skeptical like you were. When the neuroscientist first turned me on to this, I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Sounds too good to be true. And as we evaluated this, just for you skeptics out there, we're a neuroscience company. We've been at this for 34 years. We have 52 medical advisors on our advisory board, not proctologists checking my prostate and doctors checking my blood pressure. We've got statistical biophysicists, leading mathematicians from NASA, the medical director of the NFL. We have a who's who. Why? Because we pioneered something the world never seen before. So how do you do this? Well, we spent 5 years with NASA and Harvard Medical School doctors evaluating stage 4 cancer patients versus Chicago Blackhawks. You learn the most from the extremes. And in 2015, our company was awarded the first and the world's only patent for balancing the health of the human autonomic nervous system. Now you guys are experts in that. Fear, stress, anxiety, depression, and worry. We have the only patented solution in the world. There's your credibility. We also, because we had to, neuroscience company, we went through and got FDA Class 3 approval. We went through Health Canada. We went through military approval. We spent years and millions of dollars doing all that stuff. I didn't need to do any of it. You see, we've done 2,300,000 surgical procedures replacing general anesthesia. And I've witnessed about 500 operations. So in a cold operatory, watching the barbarism of a surgery, someone being cut open, the blood and all this stuff, that person is not drugged. They have an eye mask on, headphones, and they're listening to rescue. That's all you need to see. You're like, how the hell did we do that? Well, that's what we do. Because the brain, if you can get in a certain state, you can do anything. And if we can, with great predictability, reliability, and safely, take your brain to 4 hertz and hold you in a healing state, before and after. Before the surgery, you look at the patient and they look crazy. Their neck is flushed, their eyes are darting, their lips are dry, they're talking gibberish. After the surgery, they'll say, I knew you were operating on me. I couldn't find a place to care. So our website has all the credibility you want to see. We've been around for a long time. Here's the beauty of what we do. In 2016, I challenged our neuroscientist, said, Blake, I love what we're doing. I love helping people with cancer. I love helping people with disease. I love helping people with trauma. We're not doing enough. Serving 10,000 people, 12,000 people at $6,000 isn't enough. We have to find a way out of this medical device. In November 15, 2021, we became the first neuroscience company in history to transition from a $6,000 FDA medical device to a mobile app. Boom. Yeah. I had no idea how we were going to do it. Took us 5 years to figure it out. But Blake's genius and his persistence, we did figure it out. Now people think, oh, New Calm, you're just an app. Is it a punch to the solar plexus for me? Probably. Does it negate 15 years of just torturing ourselves, trying to build and pioneer? Maybe, but it doesn't matter. I don't care if you think it's just an app. We're a neuroscience company delivering 34 years of patented neuroscience to help you as a human We're using a mobile app as a channel because if it's not easy, you're not doing it. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we have for you the same product that's been serving the elite military, the veteran community, doctors, special forces, pilots, celebrities, 78 professional sports teams. A lot of the sports teams won't allow us to share their name, but there's a few that we can, like the Golden State Warriors, the Washington Capitals, the Philadelphia Eagles, the French World Cup team, 58 UFC fighters. You get the idea. In 2017, Tony Robbins and I, who had been working together for a couple of years, we invented something called Ignite. Now, Ignite is the antithesis of rescue. It amplifies your brainwave into gamma. Remember, gamma is this state of high-intensity peak performance. So I called Tony, said, Tony, we're working with the Department of Defense, we're doing some confidential work, and we built something called Ignite. He said, that's amazing, what should we do? I said, well, I don't know, we can do anything. So his neighbor was the owner of the Washington Capitals. So we went up to Toronto, Canada, the Ritz-Carlton, and we trained the Washington Capitals together for a couple hours. We took that training, Tony literally gave me the master tape, and said, here, Jim, work your magic. We spliced 100,000 words and 240,000 syllables, put it on top of our physics. The physics matrix signals your brain up to 41 hertz. The track's about 13 minutes long. You put headphones on. It's on the app in Ignite. It's called Certainty. And there you go. You've got Tony Robbins training the Washington Capitals who went on to win their first Stanley Cup. We had so much fun. The next year, Tony's friends with Peter Guber. We trained the Golden State Warriors together in a hotel in Oakland for 5 hours. We did the same thing. On the new Calm mobile app, in Ignite, you'll see gratitude. That's training of the Golden State Warriors. In fact, you'll hear the Warriors in the background yelling. Our app today is 6 products. It's an embarrassment of riches. From 2009 to 2021, we were Rescue. Rescue is designed to help all of humanity manage your stress and therefore improve your sleep. But what we learned was, wait a second, if we can do that for every human on earth, can we take them to deep sleep? Yes. Can we take them to 18.4 hertz focus? Yes. Can we take them to 41 hertz gamma? Yes. So over the last few years, we have completed mapping the entirety of your brain, my brain, and everybody's brain. And we have 6 products on one mobile app that manages all 5 categories of your brain. So you now have the power, the control to take back control of your state of mind. If you want to do a simple experiment, you could, on your kitchen table, take every caffeine, every sugar drink, every alcohol, recreational drug, antidepressant, anti-anxiety, Adderall, Ritalin, sleeping pills on one side, and put our mobile app on the other. Because we have figured out how to help humanity manage and regulate their state of mind using advanced physics and your ears as a carrier to present it with a signal. You simply select what you want and off you go. So I'm just going to share with you 1 minute of how this incorporates into my life. I'm 55. I've got 22, 20, and 18-year-old girls. One graduated from college, 2 are in college. Just moved to Florida. I manage a global neuroscience company. As I mentioned, we have 52 medical advisors. We've got 5 board of directors. We've got, we're a Delaware C Corp, privately held. We've got stockholders. We've got about 100,000 customers around the world, and we work and do really high-level important stuff. There's a lot of reasons I should be stressed. You'll never see me stressed. For 15 years, I've been meditating like a monk on demand. So I hang out with monks now. I'm not a monk, but 10 years ago, we started working with monks. I knew we could help people with cancer, but I didn't know we could help monks. I didn't think we'd find an audience that was welcoming. I went out to an ashram, delivered 10 new Calm systems, came back 10 days later expecting them to say thanks, but no thanks. And I said, hey guys, what do you think of new Calm? They said, we love it. And I was like, what? You're monks. They said, yeah, we're human. So every day that we have to go through our meditation, we have to go through clearing our mind and all these steps. New Calm just accelerates this and puts us in a meditative state so that we can actually get out of New Calm and meditate. So for me, I'm not a monk. That's never been my goal. But I get to think like a monk and act like a capitalist. That juxtaposition will keep me healthy and live a good, long life, but it allows me to be present in my life. I can be present with my children. I can be present with my wife. I can be present with you right now. I'm not distracted. There is no what I call the itty bitty shitty committee. You know that committee behind your eyes that has all those negative things to say? That's been gone for 10 years. I don't even remember what that's like. I don't burn any calories on worry. I'm present in my life. It doesn't mean I don't have stress coming at me. Of course I do. But I can respond to things in a manner that allows me a rational thought pattern. I'm not easily triggered. Sometimes I get triggered, and I've learned to be like, hey, okay, slow down. Let's evaluate this, sleep on it. So this morning I got up at 5 because I'm in California, and I knew Calm for 30 minutes. Why? Because 20 minutes gives me 2 hours of restorative sleep. I didn't get enough sleep last night. I'm at a conference for 2 days with 11 brilliant scientists, and it's been really amazing, but I've been exhausted. This afternoon, I'm doing a recording in a studio here in Malibu for about 3 hours, and that'll be great. And then after that, I'll get to my hotel and I'll do rescue, and that rescue will reset me. I'll be in there, I'll put headphones on and an eye mask, I'll lay down, and I'll be in this vegetative state with no effort, like a monk for about 30 minutes. I'll get up, do my thing. I've got a great dinner engagement tonight with some celebrity people, and tonight when I get back to my hotel, on my iPad, I'll select deep sleep. It'll put me to sleep. Put me to sleep. At night, between 2 and 3 in the morning, when all of us wake up to go to the bathroom, it'll put me back to sleep. You see, it's not by surprise and coincidence that each of you on this call, if you're older than 40, are getting up tonight between 2 and 3 to go to the bathroom. It's called the biorhythm of your liver. You're all doing it. If you don't believe me, tonight when you get up at 2:37, call one of your friends, because guess what? They're going to answer. Why? Because they're going to the bathroom. So that's just life. The liver wakes up, it creates adrenaline to enzymatically break down your toxins. You get up and you go pee. The challenge is, if that almond wakes up, bye-bye. You're not going back to bed. You're going to lie there perseverating over stuff you can't solve from 2:37 to 2:57 to 3:14. You're going to roll around. Some of you are going to make really bad choices. You're going to grab a phone and stimulate your brain with blue light and be like, hey, it's time to wake up. Let's supercharge the amygdala. Deep sleep keeps you asleep. I get up, I go to the bathroom like a zombie. I can barely find the bathroom in my home, and I fall back to sleep. So my routine is always rescue and always deep sleep, because I have to manage the stress response because I push too hard. When I'm working, I put headphones on and I put focus on. Focus is 18.4 hertz. It's an active channel for me. Headphones work. If I'm in my office and I don't want headphones on for 8 hours, with a speaker, it'll still have some effect. And then when I go to work out with in-ear buds, I'll put Ignite on. Look out. I'm 56, my body's broken. I wrestled for 20 years, did martial arts for 20 years, played football, broke my neck. It's pathetic. I'm like Evel Knievel minus the fame and fortune, but I still want to work out. So my brain's like, let's go. I put Ignite on, and your endurance and your strength will be legendary. So that's how I incorporate this. Newcomb is a gift to humanity. Blake passed. He passed 4 years ago this month. He spent 19 years of his life trying to figure this out. And for the past 15, we have taken those ideas out of his brain, refined it, continuously innovated, simply to bring to humanity a gift in the form of an opportunity to slow down the chaos in all of our brains. That's what we do. So check it out. I'll take any questions you guys have. And we have a very good website today. 3 years ago, it was 321 pages of research because we were educating doctors. We're in a transition from a business to business to a business to consumer. We're having a blast, helping a lot of people. We haven't really found the balance between too scientific and too erudite in our vernacular versus too simple. But we never want the world to think, hey, it's just an app and there's, a 14-year-old zitty-faced kid in the basement writing code for an app. No, we're a neuroscience company solving real problems for humanity. We just need to get headphones on your head, and guess what? It does its job. You don't have to do anything. You lay down, let us do the work. So any questions?
Yeah, Jim, I got a question. What does erudite mean? I'm just joking with you. I'm messing with you.
Nope, that's a good question. I don't know.
Man, you sounded amazing. That's the good news about you. We use words that we don't know what they mean to sound really important. So one thing, this morning I was on the bluff here at Concordia, and I listened to rescue. It was kind of the opposite of what I should do. But what I find is sometimes the rescue and then both purpose as well as another one I listened to, it pushes me through the endurance of the pain of doing what I'm doing, which is pretty amazing as well. So I've been using New Calm since we met, by the way, but not on a religious basis, probably on a 3 to 4 times a week basis. But seeing what you're saying is super helpful too, to say the purpose, the rescue is very important. First time I laid down, I felt like I was asleep. And actually, I think I might have snored a touch because you do get into a very deep, relaxed state. what I need to get to do now is to correlate. Why have I been feeling more salient? Why have I felt less maybe fragmented? And I think over the last 3 or 4 months, I've been learning about, the gamma being very high, the stages in between, not bringing anxiety from tomorrow into today. But I think you told me 2 things. It was rescue and sleep. Those were the 2 things that you'd said to use pretty heavily as you went across it. So that's really all you need. Now you said that as maybe just to me, but you told
That's the core.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a core, right.
Every human on earth is out of balance. Monks are out of balance. So it tells you something, okay? Every human is out of balance. It's not our fault. We're victims of the society we live in today. Fine. That's the core. From there, once we have you in balance, then Katie bar the door. Absolutely use focus, you guys. You have no idea. Rescue and deep sleep are going to be hard for you to interpret because you're in a state. You're not lucid. You bring up a great point, Chris. I travel too much, but when I'm home, I love to nuke home next to my wife on the weekends. She hates it. We'll do 20-minute rescue or 30-minute rescue. And she's like, you snore as soon as you press start. And I'm like, that's impossible. I wasn't even sleeping. And then when it ends, you pop up like a weeble. It's like insane. I was like, thank you for nuke homing. I love just touching your hand while I nuke home. I go downstairs and my girl's like, Dad, we could hear you snoring. It doesn't make sense. I wasn't sleeping. So it is a deep lucid dream state. It's an experience. For those of you who meditate, it'll be very, very, very familiar to you. It's going to be a depth that you're not familiar with because you don't get there on a regular basis in meditation. So the foundation for good health, longevity, resilience, lowering inflammation, and living a good life, especially in the holiday period we're walking into, I would much rather have all of you present, patient, and in the moment to enjoy and be a participant in this holiday season as opposed to a spectator. It's just insane how we're living. From there, for you, in your office, doing the work that you're doing, focusing, paying attention to important things that have emotional levers to them, right? Money is funny. It's supposed to change hands, not people, but there's an emotional component to money. Put focus on, and you laser. There is no distraction. At 18.4 hertz, there's no space in your brain for distraction. And then ignite for working out. There's kind of the recipe overall.
Jim, this was great. All the questions I wrote down, you answered. So really good presentation. There's a few that have popped into Q&A here at the very end.
Yeah.
We'll just hammer through them really quick.
Yes.
First one, what is the frequency of in the zone that artists experience?
Awesome. So there are several, actually. 12 hertz is synonymous with being in that creative zone because there's no space in your brainwave for any stress. Stress creates distraction. Distraction creates self-doubt, confusion. And, muscle memory, like with an athlete, muscle memory is pivotal. And it's in their head that they kind of shift a millimeter of their muscle memory because of that stress. So 12 hertz has historically been known as being in the zone. However, there are some areas that are also flow state. One is 7.83 hertz, which is the intersection of alpha and theta, and not by coincidence, also the Schumann resonance and the Earth's magnetic rotation. So anybody who's out there grounding, you can't really ground in Wisconsin right now, your feet would freeze, but grounding, right? 7.83 hertz is the creative zone, but you're not really lucid, okay? So a lot of artists, I think it was Picasso, used to tie a spoon to his finger, and we'd slip into that state. The spoon would wake him up and he'd write down his notes or jot down his paintings. But there's also 18.4 hertz, which is focus zone, but in that zone, you have a capability to be really clear-headed and to learn new things. So you're creating new cognitive pathways and new what's called neuronal coherence. And then there's 40 hertz. So to the artist, the musician and the video artist, there's a lot of pain associated with their life. There's a lot of pain associated with that creative self, right? Bringing in the demons, but it would be 7.83 hertz active subconscious or 12 hertz for that frequency.
Really
Another
good.
question.
Yeah, this is a good one. Really, with very poor hearing, basically deaf in one ear, is there a change to the effects at all?
Welcome to the Matrix. That's an incredible question. Losing your hearing comes with a tremendous amount of stress and pain and suffering.
Yeah.
And I feel for you. New Calm you're going to hear music. Underneath the music is 1 to 2 to 3 gigabytes of physics and math. The music for us is a nice experience to carry the signals to the brain. It's got nothing to do with what we're doing. You don't have to have any hearing to be amazingly impacted by New Calm. It is vibration, it is resonance, it is biomodulation. So welcome to the future of something that can take care of you and negate the challenges that you're having with the loss of hearing. So there's no issue with it whatsoever. Interestingly enough, so New Calm, and specifically Rescue or Power Nap, the slower waveforms, those are inaudible to the human ear. The human ear can't pick it up, but your dogs and your cats can. So if you've got rambunctious dogs or cats or whatever, you'll notice when you New Calm, there's gonna be a pattern that happens where they are gonna be at your bed, they're gonna be like passed out. Our cats are like on us, and you know, people have sent me pictures of their big Rottweiler like this on the bed. So they can pick up the signal, and that's amazing. So hearing loss has no impact on the efficacy of what we do.
That's awesome. There's another, so can you use Rescue on an airplane for a 20-hour flight? Will this help for a long flight?
I have not had jet lag in 15 years. I just was in Abu Dhabi with Tony Robbins. I flew 14-hour flight from Doha to Philly. I landed at, I think 12 o'clock at night. I was up at 5 on Friday and had a 13-hour day. Don't miss a beat. People would think on a long flight that deep sleep is the thing you want to use, and it's not true. Deep sleep has a physics pattern that keeps you in delta for a while. Rescue the whole time. So Rescue oscillates you at 4 hertz. And so if I'm on a 14-hour flight, as soon as I get nestled into my seat and I'm ready to kind of just drift, I'll put on Rescue and I try to go in as long as possible. And then invariably you've had enough. Your brain's like, okay, I've had enough. You take it off, I'll do some work, watch a movie or whatever, and I'll try to get in as much Rescue as possible on that flight. When you get the app, okay, we're streaming through Wi-Fi 1, 2, 3 gigabyte tracks. On the app, when you go into Rescue, you hold down, say Rescue 70, and a prompt pops up. It says download track. That's what you need to do so that you're not, worrying about Wi-Fi. So you download the track and you just Rescue. A couple years ago, the FedEx pilot union came to me, a union. It's not easy to work with, but they said, hey, our pilots are fatigued. We're worried about safety. We need restorative sleep. Can you help us? So we've been working with the FedEx pilots union for several years for safety, pilot fatigue, and restorative sleep, because these folks, they try to override the diurnal aspect of their brain and try to mess with sleep, and you can't. It accelerates your aging demonstratively and puts you in a state of disease. So if we can help commercial pilots, private pilots, and FedEx logistics pilots, you're in good hands.
So there's one other one. I thought there was a couple of questions on what does it cost and how do you learn to use it, and then any coupon codes for active for subscribing. Those were 2 things.
Awesome. It is a mobile app monthly subscription. The consumer product is either 50 cents a day, $1 a day, or $1.67 a day. The $1.67 a day, which equates to $50 a month, is our most popular subscription. It's called Edge. It gets you access to all 6 products that manage all 5 categories. The second most popular is called Sleep Suite, and that gets you Rescue, Power Nap, and Deep Sleep, focused on getting you to a healthy balance. We also have the Mastermind. The Mastermind's our elite subscription. It's $3,495. It gets you 5 years access to New Calm and everything that we launched new. It gets you 5 gifts that you get to give to anybody for 1 year access to Edge. It gets you access to the Mastermind Vault, where we build specific tracks just for them. It gets you access to the clinical package. So we have a clinical package that comes with what's called a biosignal processing disc. This is used in surgeries, it's used with the VA, it's used with pilots, professional athletes, doctors, and trauma. Today, even if we had a code, the holiday sale would supersede that. So the code that we typically do would be like 15% off and ongoing. But today, probably through the end of the year, it's 40% off any annual subscription. And it's really about 48% off, because our monthly subscription might be $50 a month, but the annual incorporates a 10% discount. So you're starting at $540, and we're good people. We tipped the 40%, we took it on the $540, so it's about a 48% discount It's been really popular because the people that use it are like, I want to lock this in. I want to lock in that price. The mastermind's amazing. There's a lot of people out there that want the best that we have to offer. They love that. And they also get access to us. I'll do like a town hall once a month. We do education stuff. So that's how you get it. We serve everybody on earth. If you have a mobile device and access to Wi-Fi, guess what? You can buy Newcom, download it, and off you go. How to use it. Boy, oh boy. We have tons of assets and resources out there. So YouTube, there's probably 200 videos of my face and my voice explaining stuff. We have how to use videos right on the app. We have daily habits on the bottom of the website. You'll see 12 different plans. Brain injury, veteran, pro athlete, pilot, you name it. It's very easy. And on the website, you've got all these instructional pages of how to use. But I'm going to share with you how to use it. You get the app. You download the tracks if you're traveling. In the afternoon at 2 o'clock, you're ready to take a break. You go to your bedroom, you put an eye mask on, you select rescue on the app, you put a nice pair of headphones on, you press start. That's how you use it. At night, with a speaker in your bedroom, because there's 3 gigabytes of information coming out of there. Do not use a mobile phone. The speaker can't support it. But a speaker and an iPad or something, you press start on a deep sleep track, and voila, you go to sleep. So it's very easy to use. It's really a tool, and your frequency and your resonance and your lifestyle and your neurophysiology and your neurochemistry is defined by you. You're the expert on your body. So you take this tool and you play with it and you figure out what works and what doesn't work. There are some guidance and there's some things for us to say, hey, everybody should do rescue every day. Everybody do deep sleep every night. And then you just play around with it and see the nuance that you want. A lot of people use Ignite in the morning to kind of negate that third cup of coffee. A lot of people use Ignite in the morning just to activate their brain. Focus, purpose is, people are loving the purpose track, which is in the focus category. They put it on, they're like, dude, I'm just crushing through my work and I feel really good. So
Awesome.
it's very easy to use. And that was really pivotal for our ability to exponentially grow our user base. Because if it's not easy, we'll find excuses not to use it.
One last question here, or I've got one. The very simple one. Earbuds over earphones?
Your brain doesn't want to be managed by anything, okay? So a closed loop, and you put headphones on, there's no escape route. So we know at minute 8, you're at 4 hertz with great specificity. In-ear buds are good. If you're flying with them, it'll kind of make your ear canal a little sensitive. In-ear buds are good. It's whatever you're doing and your personal preference. No one's gonna be working out with a huge over-ear headphone in a gym, right? You look like the dude from Something About Mary. That's not what we're looking for. Comfort, but let me just take 1 second on this. There are 2 ways to present the brain with a signal using your ears. One's called isochronic waveform, where we can, through the ambient airwave, present a signal to your brain. The other is called binaural beat or binaural signal processing. People are turned on by binaural beat. Hey, binaural beat, this and that and the other thing. Well, how's it different from Newcom? We get that question a lot. How's binaural beat different from Newcom? I said, well, let's apply logic. Newcom used to be a $6,000 FDA Class 3 medical device. That's a 99-cent app. You think maybe there's a difference? Okay, logic doesn't work. Let's apply just truth. Binaural signal processing is the delivery mechanism, okay? So if I order a pizza, when the pizza delivery boy shows up, I don't eat the pizza delivery boy. I eat the pizza. So what is on the pizza? What are you presenting to my brain is why Newcom stands alone. We don't just have the only patent in the world for balancing your autonomic nervous system. In 2021, we earned the only patent in the world for a method used to elicit a state change in the human brain. So the complication and that 3 gigabytes of information is all of our science. So binaural signal processing and isochronic waveform means that our product will work with a speaker in your room, in-ear bud, or a headphone. And it's a matter of impact. Speaker in your room, impactful. In-ear bud, very impactful. Over-ear, the most impactful. So it's a continuous range.
Super helpful. Last one here. Would you be open to assisting a nonprofit that helps veterans and first responders through their moral injury? What would that relationship look like?
I got 2 words for that. Hell yes. We love serving those who serve. We will never say no, ever. We work with Mission 22, we work with the VA, we work with Operation Red Wings, we work with the National Foundation of Integrative Medicine. Please just share my email address with this person and we can absolutely, we love to take care of the people that have sacrificed their life, and not just life as in life and death, sacrificed their life as in when they went to the theater of war, they came back different. So
Actually, I coach the founder of it, so I think that'll be awesome. I know somebody who said that. So there's one last thing that's just kind of interesting for everybody. Didn't you carry your own fear of heights?
I did. Thank you for sharing.
Can you share that super quick?
All right. So maybe 25 years old, it developed a fear of heights. You know, as you get older, you kind of start learning that you are mortal and death could become you. And over time, I didn't ask for it, but I became really scared of heights to a point where it was humiliating and embarrassing in many different instances. My kids don't know this and they still don't, but anytime I drove over a bridge, I wanted to drive off the bridge. So I couldn't really drive over bridges in daylight because I was just like, There's two fears of heights. One is just the fear of height itself. The other is the fear because you want to jump. And a lot of people have that fear because I want to jump. I see myself jumping out of a building or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So the pinnacle of humiliation and shame was I was doing a big consulting project for BNP Paribas in Paris in 1999, and it was all around price transparency with the euro changing. And I was there for 6 weeks, and it was a big deal. And one of the days after a long day, the celebration is we had dinner at the top of the Eiffel Tower, and then after that dinner, they said, okay, let's go home. The elevators weren't working. I was like, uh-oh. So if any of you have been to the Eiffel Tower, it's not like a closed staircase, it's metal. No, I'm feeling the visceral reaction of that reaction right now. There's probably 4 or 5 staircases, and I'm literally just trying to focus, but I'm getting to a place where I am nauseous. My knees aren't working. The sweat is gliding down the railing, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm this bigwig consultant helping these guys understand price transparency to the arrogance of the Parisians, and I'm gonna be in fetal position sucking my thumb in about 4 seconds. I mean, it was the worst experience. You know, sometimes you just want to give up, but I couldn't even figure out where to give up. So that was kind of the pinnacle of humiliation. And about 5 years of using this product, systematically down-regulating the strength of the amygdala, because phobias are irrational thought patterns that elicit a physiological response. I was able to separate that. And today, 2 weeks ago, I was at the top of the Burj Khalifa, 149 stories above the earth. 0 impact. I can go on any place. I have 0 fear of heights. You know, back in the day, we'd go on vacation, 3 girls, and their dad's a big, wrestler and a martial artist. Whoa, he's a stud. No, Dad, come out to the balcony. I'd be like Garfield standing behind the glass. I'd be like, I can't go out there. All of that's done. And it takes time, but it's systematic and it's physiology. That's the cool thing about when you understand the brain and you understand what the problem is, you can figure out the solution set and you just activate that. I didn't ask for fear heights and I didn't ask for it to be remediated, but over a 5-year period, it's gone. I have got none. And I'm thankful for that. And think about what we can do for the traumatized brain. Think about what we can do for people that have innate fears of things that are more real than fear of heights. So thank you for bringing up that horrible memory.
Yeah, right.
You told us that. I'm like, I got to feel that. I got to see that one. No, that was really fun. Totally appreciate you as well. Well, I know we've run a bit over the hour for many, but I totally appreciate you as well. I think there was one last question I saw that was hyperbaric oxygen. You talked about that. Does hyperbaric oxygen make a difference in brain function too, in your opinion?
Absolutely. Any way to perpetuate oxygenation to the prefrontal cortex, everybody wins. You can do it by breath work, right?
Yeah.
We started our thing 2 days ago with a monk, and we did breath work, and everyone you just feel grounded, and so absolutely. Athletes are amazing. So if a little of something is good, then a lot of it must be amazing. So we've got a lot of athletes that do new calm in a hyperbaric chamber. That's just kind of the nature of the beast. So any way to oxygenate the prefrontal cortex, we all win, because that's where the structure is. That's where the good stuff of our brain, that's the neuronal circuitry, that's the good memory patterns, that's getting out of being stuck. So oxygen, rich red blood through hyperbaric chamber, through new calm, They're both getting you to the same place. We just have a lot more science behind it, and there's just not a lot of documented, clinical peer-reviewed journals for hyperbaric, but it works.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I want to thank you tremendously for all of us. Thanks for answering the questions. The idea is just giving us a way to get through the anxiety as you find more and more people, like you said. I think fragmented attention is so important, and bringing tomorrow's worries into today don't make any sense. You can also go back and look at your past and say, listen, I can change how I think about that. So if you can be more in the present, it's super, super helpful. So I really want to say, from that moment we met, I've been studying this quite a bit myself, begin using your product and see these differences. What I have to do is correlate the differences to using this. Why do I seem more calm? Why do I enter most situations, in a flat zone? And that's not common for me, or wasn't in the past. So I appreciate you in that sense, and what you brought to us, and just the continual learning you've done as well.
Wonderful. Thank you, everybody. Take care of yourselves. I've got one last thing to say. Take care of you. A lot of us are givers, and we tend to sacrifice ourselves. But you got to take care of yourself so you can be there for the ones who need you and love you the most. And you know this, but they need you all the time. So happy holidays, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity. Much love to everyone. Boom. And I'll say hi to the sunshine out here. Vitamin D is going to feel good this afternoon.
Enjoy it. Thank you,
Jim.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Any opinions are those of myself and not necessarily those of Raymond James. Expressions of opinion are as of this date and are subject to change without notice. The information contained in these podcasts do not purport to be a complete description of the securities market or developments referred to in this material. The information has been obtained from sources considered to be reliable, but we do not guarantee that the foregoing material is accurate or complete. Every investor situation is unique, and you should consider your investment goals, risk tolerance, and time horizon before making any investment. Prior to making an investment decision, please consult with your financial advisor about your individual situation. Any hypothetical examples are for illustration purposes only. Actual investor results will vary. Raymond James does not provide legal or tax services. Please discuss these matters with the appropriate professional.